All right, looks like we're live here. If you could see us and hear us, whether you're tuned in on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or any of these other cool social media platforms that we've just connected, let us know in the comments below where you're tuning in from. Where are you tuning in from, whether it's in the United States, outside of the United States, or in outer space? We're okay with it as long as you're present and ready to learn with us. We're looking forward to it. I got a new face. This looks nothing like Haplin.
No.
And you probably have had a chance to meet this gentleman, but Ryan, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? I am
It's
definitely
great
not
to
Haplin. If you haven't met Haplin in person, he's about 10 feet taller than you think he is. And that is not me, but
Yeah, I think what's going to happen here in about 3 minutes, the comments are going to blow up with people asking about the radar release, and they're going to feel like it's Friday. Like, how is it? How is it Friday already? How can we
it's
be on
not
Friday in
Friday.
the morning
Please,
time?
God, no. It's only
Awesome.
Tuesday. I just looked at my menu bar, thank God. So we have time.
I
We
love
have
it. We do have some time to get those releases going. If y'all are brand new to High Level, which most of you are that are tuning in here, um, Ryan is part of our product marketing team. He works with Chase Buckner as well on our product marketing team, and they bring out all the coolest releases that come out of High Level through our product and developers behind the scenes. So if you don't tune in on Fridays, you got to definitely do that. But it looks like we got the chats here warmed up. Thank you for all that are jumping in. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get this party started. We do have a tight agenda of a lot of knowledge and action steps to take. So, with that being said, here, I have this awkward extra space. Do you see that awkward extra space on
time.
your end? Yeah, that never happens, man. Ryan, you're going to put me to work today, bro. It's all
Yeah,
good.
just turn it off and turn it back on again.
That usually does it. So I'm gonna go here again. We're gonna just knock out the whole screen this time. Let's see here.
All right. There
Awesome.
it is.
So welcome to day 2 of the Voice AI workshop. What's more important here is that you show up and stay. You could watch the replay of day 1. We'll have some of those links below. But everything we're gonna go over today is real techie, real next steps, real exciting. And we want to make sure that you're aware that results may vary. What you're going to see and learn may be different thing for you than what we do at High Level and what others do. So we ask you to just keep in mind that past performance is not a guarantee of future performance. High Level does not guarantee that you will experience financial gain or generate revenue. Results will vary. That almost feels like before you're about to watch a movie that, like, big warning sign: don't copy, don't copyright, don't steal. So essentially here we just want you to know, be patient with yourself because we're going to get into the fun stuff. And with the fun stuff, I'm going to be here along your way to guide you through the comments as well as any questions you have. So throughout this entire presentation, please jot down Q and your question. I'm going to tee them up to Ryan to just hit the home run and take us to where we need to be so we can get our systems up and running using today's offer with the Voice AI. And if we have not met, today's the day we get to meet. So nice to meet you. But more importantly, we got a special guest here. And if you just tuned in, you now know. You've probably seen this gentleman on several of our segments in our in person events. His name is Ryan Howell. He's the most humble, quiet guy you'll ever meet. He wears his high level shirt 24/7 because he loves what he does. But more importantly, Ryan, for those that haven't had a chance to get to know your backstory, would you mind maybe breaking down these 3 bullet points you've put together and how it's relevant to the expertise that you're going to share today with our audience?
Yeah. So the first and most important thing is that as a product marketer or in the product marketing division, a lot of people say, "What the heck is that?" But that allows us to be really close to the people that are building the things, the tools, the products, whatever you really want to call them. But building the tools that you guys are going to be using from a customer informed standpoint. And so, what does that really mean? Well, it means that we're taking feedback from more than just one set of customers, from just one form that goes out. We're trying to collect as much information as possible so that we can separate the signal from the noise. That way we get a clear message to the people that are actually building this, the product managers, the people that are building the roadmaps. And the result is we get a really well-defined, well-baked cake that tastes amazing. So that is an iterative process. It's not like we just do it once. People that are on here I can see have been in our product town halls. That's where we're kind of grinding the stones, right? And so that's what I love doing. That's what I'm connected to the most. And as a result, we get better products out of it. My background, there's obviously a lot you could kind of go into, but I think the relevant things are that I have founded from the ground up 7-figure creative agencies. I've done a lot of experimental, high profile type work. So that allows me to be very careful in the things that I go after. I'm not really a shiny object person. So you should know that about me. So things that we're talking about in this presentation, and indeed things that High Level is producing, they're not gimmicky. They're not designed to be gimmicky. And if they ever are, we just get rid of them immediately. And the most important thing is I'm here to help you hire your first voice AI agent. So if you're new to the voice AI game, we're going to be walking through a lot of very practical, click this to get it done type of steps.
Awesome. Well, Ryan, thank you for taking the time to just hang out with us. And for those of you that are ready to get started, help me give a warm welcome to Mr. Ryan Howell in the comments below. And if you do not have your phone set up with the stream and your system set up, or your notepad or your iPad, whatever you need, or your screenshot or your camera, get it ready now. Because what Ryan and the product marketing team have put together is a little bit different than we've shared before. And we're looking forward to seeing and hearing your responses from it. So as we continue here, and I just switched the random screen, let us know where you're tuned in from in the comments below, because we're about to shout you out. And if you haven't heard of High Level, these are the reasons why you need to get started. The data, the process, the platform is every tool you need to use. And we have our help steps for you to get started, whether it's our live Zoom or our voice AI playbook. They both work better together, right? So they work both better together. Ryan, on your end, if you don't mind getting your slides ready to go, I can go ahead and stop sharing here. I'm going to be looking out where everyone's tuning in from. And if you have questions from yesterday, please throw them as well in the chat. Because what we're going to make sure by the time we leave today, day 2, you have more than what you came with, and you have a plan to get started with the voice AI agent for yourself and your business, or for a business you want to sell it to or offer it to.
All righty. I think we can get this teed up here. And my presenter tools, which will keep me on track. Very good. So let's go ahead and get started. Couple of housekeeping tips here. These are your lifelines. These are things that I will guarantee you probably 99% of other companies are not going to give you, which is live help on Zoom, ready to go. In fact, I can tell you that there's a lot of investors that have looked at our company and said, you guys are crazy for providing this. And we say, yes, we are crazy, and we're going to still provide it. So take advantage of these, of our success team, which is really what this is tied to. They're happy to get on the phone with you, happy to get onto Zoom and walk you through this stuff. So these are your resources. Use them because you're not going to get everything in the first go around. Okay, who is this workshop for? Always a good thing to define what we're doing and who this thing is for. Haplin had a longer slide and I changed it. This is it. Small businesses with missed phone calls. If I'm pretty sure this encompasses a lot of people, but if you've ever seen this icon and cringed because you know that customer went ahead and called someone else. Now, this could be your own small business. Maybe you consult for other businesses, but missed calls are the death of particularly small businesses. In fact, I've actually grown a local service business from nothing, no experience, just fresh out of the gate. I would say half or more of the calls that I got were the next call. So somebody actually ranked higher than me on Google, and that person didn't pick up the phone because they're busy, right? Because they're ranked 1. I was ranked 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, maybe it was 10. But the point being is that they got to me, and that's how I earned their repeat business, because I picked up the phone. So if this is the problem that we're going to be solving here. 2-day agenda. We covered day one, overview and positioning. This is all about setup and deployment, which basically means doing the things, getting out of theory and all these random ideas and doing real things, clicking buttons, as I like to say. So here's a question for you. Does this sound familiar? You get a new inbound call, just like I was describing. People are busy, they're working, they're sleeping. It goes to voicemail. Then the lead gets frustrated, immediately calls the next person on the list, as I just described. And all that money that went into the marketing at the top of this part of this list, and now we'll have to go into the bottom, is a waste of money. So the good news is, here's a better way. This is what we're going to be talking about. This is a little bit of theory, but hang with me. We're going to get to the practicality very soon. New inbound call. Voice AI answers 24/7, which means all the time. The best part, and maybe my favorite little Easter egg about this, is that it handles simultaneous calls. So back in the day, my parents had a small business themselves. They were sales reps for, it's not important, but they were sales reps for large industrial companies. And they actually had, at one point, we had 6 telephone lines coming into the house. This was mostly because my dad didn't like to get up early in the morning, so he had phones ringing at the house and at the office, so he could be anywhere to answer them. Now, the reason that they had 6 lines is because they couldn't take simultaneous calls, as you well know. They didn't even have, I think at that time, call waiting. So they had a failover system. Voice AI can actually handle, on the same phone line, without having to buy a bunch of different phone numbers and incur more costs, can actually answer calls simultaneously. And the number of calls that they can answer simultaneously would probably boggle your mind, but it's a lot. It's more than you would need. So after that quick aside, not only will the voice AI answer the phone in a very natural, human-like type voice, but they can do specific things. And we'll get into this idea of an agent and how you would design all this stuff in a minute. But all you really need to understand here is that they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to be good at certain things, right? So you might have an FAQ person. Let's just say that's an entry-level minimum wage position. It's a high school student just looking for a little extra money. They come into the plumbing shop, after school, and they answer the phone for a couple hours, make some dough. That's your FAQ, right? But imagine that working 24 hours a day, and probably costing a fraction of what even paying a high school student for a couple of hours after school to come and man the phones. So that's that. And then you've got lead qualification. So like maybe a slightly more advanced employee that could like understand what the plumber actually needed, information like, well, they're going to need an address. Are they in a city that we service? Do they have a problem that we can actually solve? Right. A gas pipe that's on fire in somebody's front yard, that's going to be a fire department problem, not necessarily the plumber. So things like that. Then booking appointments, doing follow-ups, all these kinds of things. So each voice AI agent or bot, maybe if you want to think about it, can do different things. And the whole point of doing these different things are to move the lead forward. We always have to think about, when you're thinking about online marketing in general, all you're doing is providing some movement forward through a funnel, sometimes, or through a pipeline. Sometimes we talk about funnels because the natural nature of gravity kind of moves them down. But I actually think it's better thought about as a pipeline, because we kind of have to move things. We can't rely on gravity to just magically do it. But these agents, this feature in particular, and really any feature within high level, is designed to move the lead forward. So that's what we're doing here. That means that your new marketing has actual ROI, because you can say, hey, I paid this bot $24 over the past 6 months, and it generated for me $6,000 in sales. That's pretty easy to account for, I should say. All right, so the step-by-step overview, we're going to just blaze through this. We're going to turn on AI employee. We're going to build a basic voice agent, okay? We'll talk about what that. Don't get worried about this terminology and stuff. It's basically just your own little employee. We're going to provide it agent details. We're going to provide it goals so it knows what its job is and what it should be doing really, really well. That gets into what a knowledge base is and how we can kind of train these bots on how to do things just like you would an employee. And then we're going to talk about some settings like the availability that they have. Maybe you're the type of person or you're working for somebody, consulting for them, and they say, well, I want to answer the phone 90% of the time, but then I'll go ahead and take, whatever you've got afterwards. So if I'm too busy, then we can just do it that way. So we've got those things. Then we've got some advanced stuff, which we'll go through for all the super advanced people that will focus on AI actions and deployment. And we're also going to be talking about the iterative development. If you don't know what that is, we'll get there. The first step, you need to turn on AI employee. What is AI employee? A lot of people ask me this question, both at live events and online. And the answer is that much like Microsoft Office back in the day, it was you bought it and you got PowerPoint, you got Excel, you got Word, and you got Outlook or Access, depending on which version. The suite was named Microsoft Office. The individual parts of it were named, Word and all that. That is akin to what AI employee is. It's the suite. It's everything together. Within the suite, we have voice AI, we've got conversation AI, content AI, and all the other things. All these tools are designed to help you do specific things. We don't want to be a generalist. We want specific tools for specific things so that it makes sense and it's the best tune. So go ahead and turn that on. That's going to be in your agency level. And then once it's turned on at the agency level, so that's kind of our umbrella account that handles everything under it, then we're going to go into a sub account. So this would be the sub account that we're going to be working in, and you can turn it on there. You can see it's right there on the left-hand side within settings. There's also an AI agents menu item that's just in the main navigation, even if you're on the dashboard. Then we're going to build a basic voice AI agent. Okay, this is as basic as it gets. All you have to do is click some buttons and you're going to have an agent that can answer the phone for you. So as you may see here, especially for new accounts, we have got a series of onboarding videos, and those will walk you through a lot of the different things. But if you go in, as I was mentioning earlier, into AI agents, go into voice AI and click create new agent, that's going to be the easiest 3-step process to get started here. When you create your agent, there are a number of different details here, right? So first, you've got to give it a name. This doesn't matter what you call it. It's just for your own reference. That's why it's going to have a series of sequential numbers right after it. You can call it anything that you'd like. It's for your own reference. Your employees will not see this. Well, I should say your customers wouldn't see this. Your employees, if they're logged in, they probably would. The business name, so this will be very important because this is what the bot is. Again, you got to think about this as kind of training. So you want this in the context of, hey, if you were training an employee, how would you tell them to call your business, right? So it wouldn't be the legal name. Maybe it would just be Joe the plumber or John the tire guy or Susie, whoever. Next up, you got to choose a language. Note that language is in beta. No, it's not in beta, but multilingual support is in beta. So there is the ability to have it dynamically change between English and Spanish. There's tons of upgrades that are happening in the back end. All you need to understand is just pick the language that makes the most sense. That's your primary language. That way you get the most effective minimum dose there. Then you can choose a voice. Now, choosing a voice is a little bit like choosing a ringtone. I will admit it can be really annoying because you got to go through and there's like hundreds of them, or at least dozens. And you're trying to figure out what's the best one, the coolest one that when my phone rings, my friends are going to be so impressed. I would not overthink this too much. Just go for one that sounds relatively close to, how you would want your business to sound. And take it from there. There are a bunch of new voices. We just launched some big updates to our voice backend. that are making a lot of new, very high quality voices available. So go ahead and scroll through those. They are marked. It's just like new, or it says like amazing voices, something. Look for little tags in the list, but choose your voice. Then you pick your time zone. So this is the time zone that you want your AI agent or your new virtual employee to be working for you. Typically, this would be where your business is, but there are some cases where that would be different. So if you're working in a remote situation, I think you understand what I'm talking about. The direction, good news, you only have one choice here. It is an inbound call, and that's it. We're not doing outbound quite yet. Do not ask about it. We're we're actively exploring like different ways that we can do it, but we want to do it in a really compliant and a way that makes sense. It's not going to annoy a bunch of people. Then you're going to have the agent's initial message. So the initial message is, how do you want it to greet? Do you want it to greet in like a very customized way? You write down whatever you want the agent to say, and it will say it in a very natural way. You can also use custom values here if you're familiar with how custom values or custom fields work. Great. If you're not, don't worry about it. Just write a very nice message. Thanks for calling Bob's Mechanic Repair Shop. How can I help you today? Works just fine. Then we're going to talk very briefly about advanced settings for the advanced folks out there. This is typically a place that you come after you test your bot, and we'll go through how to do that.
Hey, Ryan, before you jump into the advanced, can I just get a quick poll in the comments below? If you're on YouTube or Facebook, how many of you, by pressing 1 on your keyboard, have already set up or activated your AI voice in High Level? Just a quick setup here. How many of you have already activated your voice AI? And press 2 if you've gotten this far where you set it up, at least version 1. So 1, if I got it up and running, and 2, I got version 1 of my setup up and running. And then if there is a question you have regarding the setup, now is a good time to put Q and your question so that way I can put those together, so that way Ryan can knock those out once we're done with this part of the segment. Ryan, thanks for letting me jump in here. I just want to get a little some tidbits
lots
here
of numbers.
so we can get you prepared.
Not only did you hit 1 on your keyboard, you hit enter as well, and we're very proud of you.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to advanced settings. Now, this isn't too crazy, so don't get scared or anything. But typically, this is going to be a place that you come to after you've tested your agent and maybe had it in the wild working for you. And that's going to be so these settings are going to revolve around little tweaks that you might want to make it more natural. So the call time limit, this is the idea here, is that if you get a lot of calls, like maybe you get a lot of calls, just people wasting your time, or I don't know, it's just happening too frequently, and you want to reduce the amount of time that the people keep the bot on the phone, then you can actually put a time limit there, and it will respect the time limit. That just helps make sure that the cost is as low as possible. So if you're concerned about that, go for it. Obviously, the max here would be 15 minutes, so it's not anything too wild. Response time, I should say response speed. This you have to play with to see what makes the most sense. I know, JB, maybe in New York, they speak a little more quickly. In the South, maybe they speak a little less briskly. So you kind of just have to play with that to see, the response time and like what's actually happening. And you'll kind of understand that once you hear the bot. And then the idle time and reminder. So essentially, if they're, I guess we were supposed to put arrows here. No big deal. Essentially, if the caller is just like kind of waiting for like a long period of time, you want the bot to like follow up and say, hey, like, are you still with me? Like, what's going on? So you would set that time period for something that would be natural for you. Again, you just kind of have to play with the settings and see what works. Out of the box, everything's set up the way it needs to be. So you don't have to worry about those little advanced setting tweaks just yet, unless you've really played with it for a while. Okay, now we're going to move on to some really basic bot goals. So we have kind of our intro, right? We've got the bot set up in like the basics, how it's going to answer the phone, when it's going to work, what it's going to sound like, stuff like that. Now we're going to go off. Okay, hey, Mr. Bot, here, hey, Mr. AI agent, here is your goal. Here's the point of you existing. So a lot of times people just need some basic information, right? Like if any of you ever remember, we used to pay people to sit there on the phone, and in some cases, it was contracted out or whatever. But they were answering services, and then that turned into answering machines and all this stuff. Well, we think about the progression of the technology. Most of the time, like either the executive assistant or the secretary or whoever's managing the schedule, let's say, a lot of their job, or that answering service, a lot of their job was just taking a message. And I remember this distinctly because phone bills, when I was growing up for my parents' business, were north of $1,500 to $1,600 a month. Okay, just for basic answering service, getting stuff moved around. And this was in the early 90s, right? So that's a lot of money. That's like $200 to $2,500 in today's dollars. What I'm getting at here is that even if you use the most basic functionality of the agent, which would be getting the name, the email address, or maybe the home address, or just the customer's issue, even just getting those things is insanely valuable. And the cool thing about this is that all you got to do is just select the things that you need. Now, I always say, don't select everything, right? Don't select select the minimum number of things that you need, because it's whether it's a form or anything else, you don't want to put a ton of hurdles in the way of your customers. You want to be able to get minimum information from them, the stuff that makes sense, and then you can always get the stuff that you really, really need later, but get them to commit to you. It's kind of like this idea of micro commitments, right? Micro yeses, like you go to live presentations, we're always trying to get you to say yes and yes, so you get used to that idea. It's a little psychological trick. Sometimes it doesn't even work, to be honest. But the point is that when you're on the phone with somebody, if you can get a minimum commitment, them opening up a little bit, giving you some information, you can get the rest of it later. And this is where you're gonna do all these things. So you select what you want to get. Okay, we'll get into the knowledge base in just a second. That's the very first field you're seeing there. But just click on like, hey, I just want their name and I just want their issue, let's say. Then you're going to decide whether or not you want to trigger a workflow when the call is completed. And then you're going to decide who receives a notification after the call has been completed. For the folks that are saying, what the heck is a workflow? Don't worry about it. Not needed at all. If you know what a workflow is, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can trigger essentially a series of things to happen after that call ends. And once that agent or that bot has reached its goal, it says, hey, I'm done with the call. I'm going to trigger this workflow for a bunch of things to happen in the background. Again, if you don't know what that is, do not be overwhelmed by it. It's not important for this purpose. This is the moneymaker right here. Okay. Number one, the phone gets answered. Number two, they interact with the potential lead or the customer. Number three, when that call is over and they've collected the information you asked them to collect, the bot has already updated your CRM and your contact records, which, believe me, if you were employing like myself at age 16, 17, whenever I was working on cars, I forgot to do that kind of thing all the time. Like data entry, not my thing. This bot will never forget to do that. It will always update the contact record with all the latest information. Secondly, something that I probably never did at 16 or 17, send an email with the entire transcript, a link to the recording, and a nicely written executive summary that's like 3 or 4 lines deep. So that's the real moneymaker here. It's if you're dealing with people that are missing calls, it means that they don't have a front end staff, right? And if it's you yourself, it means you can admit to yourself, I'm not where I need to be right now. I don't have like a cadre of people just waiting to help me out. This is your savior. Like, this will help you out. It's going to collect all this information. It's going to summarize it for you. It's going to take action on your behalf in the background. Things that you don't even have to configure. I mean, you're looking at like 2 or 3 buttons here and you're done, right? So this is the basic setup of what you need to do. Next up, we're going to talk about knowledge base. Okay, so that's this create new up here. This flow may change a little bit, but this is the basics here. A knowledge base, when you click on that create new knowledge base, this is something you name it whatever you want, but think about it as if you're running in the military, or you worked in like government, for official government offices, they're really big on this thing called SOPs. We're actually really big on it in high level. And the idea is that if I get hit by a bus, I've got a series of documents that walks anybody through, include like up to the chief of staff or even the CEO could come in, read this set of documents, and be able to do my job reasonably well. Okay. That's basically what a knowledge base is for a bot. You're telling it all the different things that it needs. You're defining things for it. You like, so there may be a glossary. There might be a series of steps that they generally take. There might be troubleshooting steps. But the point about the knowledge base is that, well, 2 things. One, you want to make it very, very specific. Why do you want to make it really, really specific? Because the second thing, you can have multiple knowledge bases. So think about it this way. If you can't be everything to everybody, right? And neither can these bots. And you've probably seen this where they hallucinate and they do all these weird things because they're trying to be everything to everyone. The more specific you can train these bots, the way better they get. So let's say, in my plumbing example, forgive me because my uncle was a plumber for like 50 years. So in my plumbing example, the knowledge base for your general FAQ agent is going to be like, what types of properties do you service? Commercial, residential, public, do you service public buildings? Do you work with, the local public school or local government? Do you work with military bases? Like stuff like that, where, like in San Diego, those are real questions that would get answered. It's not specialized to plumbing, but it's some general FAQs that you would have. So go fairly deep on that. And maybe, by the way, this is all available on your website and you can just train the bot that way. But it's always good to really just define it for yourself too, because I guarantee your website's probably not as up to date as you think it is. And then you'd have another bot that's maybe more for specific things about your business. So you think about it, it's a one-to-one relationship for knowledge base and the agent. The knowledge base is like the degree. It's like the diploma that you're going to give your agent, except they learn in 2 seconds. So the knowledge base is the degree, all the knowledge that you're imparting to that agent, specific knowledge about this industry, about this company, and about what they do as a specific, very targeted employee. The second thing, like a secondary bot would be something like, or a secondary agent and knowledge base would be something like, hey, what kind of, let's think about plumbing, right? So there's a couple different things. Hey, I need a barbecue in my backyard. Can you do that? Well, when you start to think about it, there's a lot of questions that have to go into that. Like, well, A, where do you live? Well, that's already been answered by the first bot. But the second question would be, depending on where you live, do you have propane? Do you have a propane tank buried in the backyard? Or do you have natural gas system coming in? Is this going to be an electric stove somehow? Like, are you all solar? So there's a lot of different questions. And that's where you can train a specific, like gas line type, plumbing bot that all they know about is gas lines. And then you have this other bot that's like, all I know about is drain lines, and maybe another one that they do pools. And the cool thing about this, and we'll kind of show this in a minute, is that they know when they've reached the edge of their knowledge base, and they can say, actually, this is a good one for this this bot over here who is a pool expert, because you were talking about the barbecue, and now you want to ask a question about pool plumbing. So that's about as deep as I'm going to go on it. But I think that the best way to think about it is that you've got a degree, all the books and writing and all the things that go into a degree and that diploma. That's the knowledge base, and that gets assigned to a specific bot. The difference is you don't have to take 4 years to get this degree. You just give them all this knowledge, and they instantly know what to do with it. And so while I was just talking a lot about like writing this all out for yourself, I will point out that there are a couple other ways you can do it. One is that there's a web crawler. So a web crawler is just a fancy word for you put in a website URL, put in www.yourcompany.com, and it will actually go and read the pages, all the text on there. But the reason I was harping on this idea of really writing this out yourself is because your website probably isn't that great. I'm just going to be honest. It's probably out of date, maybe not, but the vast majority of them are out of date, and they don't answer these really specific questions. And it's a good exercise for you to go through. What am I? If you're consulting a company, what do you do? Like, what is your unique selling proposition? What are you great at that nobody else is great at? The FAQ is a more structured document, right? So it's literally question, answer, and you can just add them into fields. That's very helpful too, because most of the time, people are just trying to get questions answered. And then uploading files would be like, hey, here's a bunch of Word documents and things that I've already produced from back in the day. And that's how you infuse the knowledge base with information.
Ryan, I know that you're going to be going over. I know you're going to be going over the advanced mode as we get later in the slides.
Yeah.
For those that do not turn on the advanced mode or go into the advanced mode, does the knowledge base replace the figuring out what prompt content to put together, or is that in addition to the prompt?
It does in some ways, but we'll get into that. So the basic mode though has the prompt. And if you don't even know what a prompt is, like, don't worry about it. It's already written. Okay. When we go to build these bots, we just choose the type of one that we want to have. And I guarantee, like, you're 80% of the way there just out of the box. You don't have to go in and tinker and know how to train bots and do all these things. If you just follow these steps, of course, jump on with support or not support, sorry, success. Customer success is where you want to go because they can handle all these things that aren't real issues. They're just walking you through it. That's what I would encourage you to do. But you ought to be able to get this up and running in like 10, 15 minutes. And believe me, it takes a lot longer to hire people. So if this does just an hour's worth of work for you, I think it's worth the 15 minutes. Cool. All right, we're going to move on. Couple little nuances here. When you're training your knowledge base, there's 3 different options for the web crawler. So the web crawler is just like an automated thing in the background that just opens your web page that you put in there and reads it. In some cases, it can understand the layout and images that are there too, but it's mostly just reading. So it can do it in a couple of different ways. So if you have, like, let's say you have if you're a plumber, because I love plumbing so much, and you have like a drain pipe page, then you could use the exact URL where it's like ryansamazingplumbershop.com/drains. And I've got 50 pages or the equivalent of 50 pages worth of scrolling all about drains and how amazing they are and all the different materials and what they can go in and the things they can drain. That would be an exact URL. So if you want a knowledge base just on a really specific thing. Or you can use all URLs with the path. So in this case, I might have probably the best idea or the best example here is a lot of times you'll have plumbing companies that also do HVAC, air conditioning and heating, right? So you could have a section on your site that's like ryansamazingservices.com/HVAC. And then within HVAC, I talk about, there's an air conditioning page, and there's a heating page, and there's a in-floor heating page, and there's a pool heating page, whatever, outdoor heating. So it would just look at the first part of that. So you'd say, ryansamazingwebsite.com/HVAC, because I was training this knowledge base on the HVAC side of my business. Of course, there's more nuanced things that I'll get in that go deeper, but it's going to look at every page after that. And then all URLs in this domain would be for more of a more general type of training, right? So it's like, hey, you're going to be like the receptionist, so you're not going to be amazing at everything, but you'll understand every basic part of our business by looking at every single URL at this domain. So it would be Ryan Howell, or like ryansamazingservices.com. That's it. And then it would literally click every single link that exists in that page structure and read all about it, and it would know everything. So that's the difference between going like really specific, a little bit more broad, and then super broad in terms of the web crawler. If you don't know what this is, it's an FAQ. That stands for frequently asked questions. I can't really help you if you don't know what this is. Put in your question, put in your answer. These would be things that your customers would be asking you, of course. Moving on. What are we looking at here, Haplin? Oh, this is the uploaded files. See, I had Haplin put this together for me, and I'm catching up. So if you want to upload a file like a Word document, like something like that, that's where this is going to live. You can clearly see the UI or this interface here, and where you do that, you just hit Add Source. It says coming soon, but I'm pretty sure this is live. Okay. Let's move on to updating the agent. So once you've gone through all that, once you've gone through all that, you select the knowledge base that you're going to use. So again, this is a 1-to-1 ratio. Select one knowledge base, ideally for one agent or bot, whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing. Once you select the knowledge base, then you're going to go to phone and availability. So phone numbers, little nuanced discussion here. You go into settings. If you don't have a phone number, you need to go into settings to buy one, right? Because we have to be able to receive calls. I don't believe that A2P registration is required for voice AI just yet, but it would be a good idea to do it. And I'll talk about, if you don't know what A2P registration is, just don't worry about it right now. So you go into settings, you go into the phone numbers section, then you hit add new phone number. This does cost money. It is a very low amount of money. A couple bucks per month. You go into there, and then you filter based on the area code that you want to have, or if you have some special collection of it. These things don't matter as much as they used to, unless you're buying billboards. I mean, come on. So just pick a number. It doesn't really matter. Local numbers are best. And then once that's done, Haplin's showing you how to filter. So 619 is a San Diego area code. He's biased. Haplin and I represent the West Coast of the country for high level. Strongly, I might add. Okay, so he's buying all that. You click the number, you buy it, and you're good to go. Now, just a quick side note: if you're going to be using this phone number for inbound calls and outbound calls and that, you need to do what's called an inbound. an A2P registration. So A2P stands for application to person. Application to person is exactly what high level is. It's not like somebody else's phone calling another phone. It's the application, our service, calling somebody's phone. So with that said, that's going to be in the Trust Center. So again, get on with success if you want to know about that. But I do not believe that it's required for implementing voice AI. So you should just be able to get off to the races right away. So here you can see that Haplin has already purchased this number with the arrow there. He's assigned it, and then bam, he's done. If you are not an advanced person, if you just want to get this up and running and see how quickly you can get this going, you're done. Okay? Don't worry about advanced mode. However, there's one thing I want to point out here, and if my thing allows me to, I might. Do I have any tools here to? Yeah, maybe not. Anyway, you can see my mouse. This right here is your test situation. So go ahead and test your bot by calling it here, and it will actually ring like on your computer. It's not going to like ring your phone or something. It'll ring your computer, and you can see how the bot responds, how the agent responds. So go ahead and do that. You can test it out, and then you can make tweaks to the settings that we were talking about before. So you can be done. If that's all you need to do, you can be totally done. Now, on to advanced mode. We're going to be talking a little bit about what we can do with advanced mode. So when you switch to advanced mode, while you're in the goals here, you can see that there's also the ability to switch back to basic mode if you get really scared. I've done that. It helps. In advanced mode, all this is going to get exposed to you, which is going to be the prompting and sort of like more of the back end of how the settings that you had set up here for the agents are going to interact with the LLMs and with the AIs that are in the background doing the real work. So that's where if you're prompt ninja or you want to experiment, just spin up a new agent and experiment away, and you can always restore it to defaults. You can read about our prompt guidelines here. This is a pretty good document that kind of goes into it. And if it really doesn't work, you can just nuke it and start a new agent from scratch. So that's the prompting that we just talked about. Set up your actions. Okay, actions are super cool. If you're an advanced person like myself and you're so amazing, you can set up these actions that happened both during the call, but also after the call. So we talked a little bit about triggering workflows. That's one thing. Haplin's having me look at this. Yeah, of course. You can see the people are very smart, Haplin. They can see prompt guidelines are there. So you can go to prompt guidelines and read that document if you want. But these are the agent goals. Okay. This is the magic sauce for the advanced players out there. Call transfer. How awesome would it be if they called into your agent and like, hey, I need to talk. I've done this so many times for like auto dealerships. I'll be like, I need to talk to service or I need parts. And there's somebody, I mean, God bless him, but there's somebody that's sitting there answering the phone and then just pressing a button. We don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to hurt our fingers. We can have the bots do this. We can have the agents do the call transfers. The beauty of this is that they can actually transfer to specific, I wouldn't call them extensions, specific phone numbers. So like if you have specific, sales agents, or maybe there's like a group line or something like that, they can transfer there. They can transfer to a different bot just as like a hyper specialist in, quantum computing or something crazy that you have a question about. You can trigger the workflow. We already talked about that. If you're not familiar with what workflows are, go ahead and dive into them. But it's essentially just a series of steps that get triggered, and the ability to basically do almost anything that you can do in high level, just in an automated, repeatable way. Sending emails, sending text messages, things like that. Sending an SMS. So maybe you just need a basic text message sent out. Updating contact fields. So this can get into like updating very specific contact fields, and we'll kind of cover that probably a little bit later here. And then two of my most favorite ones, booking appointments. And I think we're like almost there if this is not already launched yet, because both conversation AI and voice AI are almost at parity here. But booking appointments and then handling the rescheduling. Okay. It's probably my biggest nightmare is when somebody tells me like, hey, can you handle scheduling for this? And it's like looking at calendars and can you do this? And I feel like I've wasted years of my life just going back and forth on calendars. Imagine a robot that's perfect at understanding, how to book appointments, how schedules work, allowing enough time, stuff like that. Do it for you. So the book appointments and then reschedule and cancel them, do all that kind of thing. And with your policies in mind too. So if you charge people and stuff for booking, like maybe you could trigger a workflow after that as well to charge them. And then there's custom action. Okay, custom action is super advanced, but the basic idea here is that the voice AI agent will be able to make webhook they're not really calls, but essentially it will be able to get webhooks and understand information about third-party systems. So how could this be helpful? You call into a rug store or a car dealership, or I mean, I don't know, a thrift shop even. And you say, hey, is that table still available? Do you still have this thing? And there's an inventory database sitting somewhere. The voice AI agent can access that database and ask questions or get status updates on specific things, and then relay that information in real natural language to the customer. So if you're thinking like, how would a human do this? It's like, okay, you get a call and then you're like Googling it, you're logging into your systems, you're reading the things, and then you're like, yep, we've got 3 tables left. So imagine that functionality built into it. Now, of course, this would be amazing for like restaurants, like booking tables. Maybe it's even like a wedding planner where it's like, hey, what dates are available? Again, that kind of gets into like booking things, but there's a lot of different things you can do on the custom action side. And if you don't know how to do that, but it sounds really interesting or something that your business could use, jump into our certified admins page. I believe it's we got to get this, Jordan. I don't know if you have it, but if you could drop the link for the certified admins site. The cool thing about this site is that it's a collection of all the different folks that we've certified to use high level, and then with specific certifications. So like if they go really deep on these types of custom integrations and they work with businesses that are like yours, you'll be able to see that. You'll be able to see reviews and things like that. Highly recommend reaching out to those folks if you want something kind of custom. You kind of have an idea, but you want to see if it'll work. Those are the people I'd reach out to. Okay, so we talked about the book appointment. I'm just going to go over some basic settings here. You choose the calendar. Now, calendars are set up within high levels. If you haven't done that, you're going to want to set up your calendar first. Days of offering, dates. Oh yeah, so you want to. This is the first setting is going to be like how many days are you going to offer? Like on the phone, you'll say, hey, I've got Wednesday and Tuesday, or if you have 3, I've got Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. So how many different days do you want them to offer? Appointment slots per day. So this is just pretty obvious, but how many slots per day do you want them to book? And then how many hours between slots? So a lot of times we call this like buffer. Test all this stuff out, but I think the explanations there are pretty good. Kind of get you on your way. Updating fields. Cool. So you can have the fields update during the call or after the call. Sometimes after the call might be best, because what if there is some conflicting information, or you said one thing and then wanted to update again different. So it's kind of up to you what you want it to do, but there's some information on those. And then which contact field should be updated. So you enter in the name. This could be anything. And then you choose the contact field that you want to be updated. And then you say what to update in the field. Okay, so like a really basic example here is like, well, I want to know the name of the caller, and I want that to be the contact name. So that's some basic ideas there, and then you can get some examples to provide some. It says down here, provide example for the voice agent to update the contact field, and you can kind of provide a couple of examples of like what they might say there. All right, during the call, we've got once these are set up, you'll see which actions you have actually enabled, and you'll see between these 2 different tabs, these are 2 of the ones that are going to happen during the call. And if you had some that were going to be activated after the call, that would happen after the call, or you'd see a number there after the call. You can always use these 3 little dots here to go and edit this stuff or click on it. That both of those things should work. And it's telling you exactly what it's going to do. So nice to have like a summary of what's happening there and what you have set up. Now we're going to move on to deployment. So let's just kind of recap here. So once you've set up the bot itself, there's a couple different ways. The beginner version here is to forward your business phone to high level. It's pretty easy to do that. Every carrier that exists has like a way to do it, and they're all kind of similar. It's like *72. I don't know. We wrote a document on this so you can see, but you could do it in a couple different ways. And this is something I didn't learn until I researched this document. But you can enter in a code into your business phone to forward all your calls. You're probably aware of that. But you can also modify that code so that it only forwards missed calls. So essentially, you're like voicemail becomes just a follow-over number. Okay. So here's a link to the support article. I'm just going to do this because why not? But you can kind of see we wrote this all out. So you've got like Verizon Wireless, AT&T, AT&T Business. You just choose your poison. We tried to cover as much as we could. ChatGPT is your friend, so check it out if those don't work. But these are all sort of standard ways to forward numbers. The important thing is that you can turn it off and turn it on. So that's why it's the beginner version, because you just want to try it out. Maybe, hey, I'm going on a trip, for the next couple of hours. I'm driving to Palm Springs, or I'm going up to the mountains, and I can't answer any calls. I'm going to turn on call forwarding. I'm going to hope that this AI agent works out really, really well. If it doesn't, I mean, the worst case scenario anyway is that you were going to miss the calls. So, that's a good way to test it. The more advanced thing would be to buy your own number and to connect that to the voice AI, but you don't have to do that. You can instead of changing out all your signage and everything, you can just forward the number that you already have just directly to your voice AI number. All right, deployment mindset. Establish your MVP. So you don't want to get buried. You don't, like we always say, don't get lost in the sauce. You don't want to get buried in all these advanced things. You don't want to go down these different rabbit holes of, oh, did I get the prompt like exactly right and tweak this and tweak that? Get this out in the field as fast as possible. And that's why we designed a lot of these basic features, so that, yeah, there's a few things to click and like define, especially when you come to the knowledge base and that, but get the minimum viable product out there in the wild, because I guarantee you your competition are still like thinking and maybe, and like, I don't know. I guarantee you that's what they're doing. Why? Just because I hear it all the time. I mean, I work with local businesses constantly. I've got lots of friends that are in it. I've got lots of friends that own like large franchises, and they're just now like kind of thinking about it. So you can get way ahead of the curve by having an imperfect voice AI agent out there answering calls for you. I can almost, of course, we can't guarantee specific. I can almost guarantee you, like, I'd be willing myself personally to put money on the fact that they'd probably do better than the 16-year-old version of me when I was, out there tearing apart cars, working on car stereos. So establish an MVP, build out and execute that MVP. So maybe you're doing it live with this right now. Maybe you sketched out like the flow that you want to have happen, but go and build out and execute that MVP. And then do your tests. I showed you how. There's a big thing on the right-hand side, and call it, make the tweaks to your settings, call it again, test it out, and get your friends to call it. Like, the cool thing is that once you get this set up, ask random people, just be like, hey, can you just do me a favor? Can you pretend that like this is going on? I'm testing. I've got a new person I just hired and just wanted to test them out. They're probably going to know it's not a real person, but just to kind of throw them off, like, see if maybe they think it is. I think we're getting to the point where it's becoming more and more challenging to detect the difference. But even if they can tell that it's a robot, that it's an AI voice, that's not really important. What's important is, can they get information conveyed in a clear manner, and can they take an action on behalf of this client that's calling in that maybe has a big emergency, especially if you're a plumber, or they're going through some kind of problem. Can they connect those dots more quickly? And if they can, that's a delightful experience, right? Like, you think about, take a step back. I use this analogy a lot, so forgive me if you've heard it a lot. But back in the day, there's Yahoo, right? Who remembers Yahoo being like one of the only search engines? It was like Alta Vista, Dogpile, Yahoo. There are a couple other directory services. Like, I had an internet phone book. Like, that's how old I am. where like they literally had the URLs like printed so that you would have to type them out. Okay, the reason that Google shocked the world, and back then it was truly shocking, is because you went from a business model that tried to keep people hunting for things, the directory model, where Yahoo's whole point was like, let's just keep these people like on this site constantly confused and trying to decide what to do and like what would be the best plumber and being too deliberative. And Google said, how fast can we get these people off of our site? Like they measured it in milliseconds and they were proud of it. They're like Yahoo's over here trying to keep you on for tens of minutes, and we are bragging about the fact that it only took 0.04 milliseconds to deliver these results, and we want you to click on the very first one, which we think is going to be the best one for you. That's what created a delightful experience when Google first launched. I still remember the first time I used it and how mind-blowing it was that I got an answer to my question in a meaningful way that happened almost instantaneously. And while we cannot, we can't do instantaneous throughput because we're using voices, right? But if we can get customers closer to an experience where it's like that, where there's no frivolous small talk, maybe there's a little bit, whatever, but they get to the point, they're happy about it, and they get the information they need, and they can be on their way, and they can trust that all that information is being relayed to the people that are going to do the work, and that they can get everything that they need. That's your goal here. Closer to that. You won't achieve a perfection. That's just not going to happen. But the closer you can get to that, the more value you're going to be able to either deliver to your direct customers or to businesses that are your customers and therefore their customers as well. It's all the same game, right? Okay, so that's what you should do. What you should not do. Do not try to do everything. You're going to get lost. You're going to turn into this whirlpool. You're just going to start turning around and around and around, and you're not going to go forward. And like I said, you cannot actually rely on the gravity funnel. Think about this thing in terms of a pipeline. You actually need to apply some force to move things forward. Don't try to be perfect. I just told you that. Kaplan knew what I was going to talk about. And don't lose momentum. So if you feel like you're falling behind, or you're just like, I don't know, I'm kind of getting lost, and just launch whatever you have like immediately and try testing it out. Call a friend, be like, hey, what do you think of this? Okay. Guarantee you friends will help you test out new tech. If not, call me. Congratulations. I think we have reached the end of the slides. Am I right?
Almost. We're just
Okay.
about there.
Let's focus on some homework. Okay. Your number one thing that you need to do is get on your kickoff call. Okay. Javier, who leads the trial experience team, and Memi, who leads the customer success team, we spend a lot of effort trying to get more people to blow up their phones. So it would make me very happy, and it would actually make me look really good because we report on those numbers every single week. If you can get on kickoff calls with them, because two things. One, you get to talk to a real person that knows what's going on. Okay. That we don't actually have an army of voice AI bots. And two, you get to pump up my numbers and make me look great. So you're doing a good deed. Okay, access and review the local hero playbook. So that is, for those of you who don't know what that is, the playbooks are essentially just like these mini courses that take you through like the exact things that you need to do to set up certain things. In this case, it's going to be the voice receptionist. So the person, like the 16-year-old version of me that you would have hired way back in the day to sit there and just answer phones all day, that's what you can automate. Set up and deploy your first voice AI agent. That's where you want to get to. Maybe you can skip a couple of these. We always encourage skipping steps if you can, because the closer you get to implementation and getting things live, yeah, you might need to come back and recircle, but the more success you're going to have. Okay, we got 2 homework slides. Cool. Next up, support resources. Just to remind you, these are the links to all the support resources that we've got. yeah, you've got your voice AI play. So this is the recorded walkthrough to do all the things that I was talking about today, probably in a better pace. And then these are the people that are live, ready to help you on Zoom. They love talking to you. So go ahead and do that. Questions? What do we got?
This
No
Ryan, this group's got
questions.
a lot of
Perfect.
no, 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 no. Hold on. Am I on mute? Oh, all right. Listen, you're gonna get me in trouble here. This group, I don't know if they found out that Ryan was jumping on the call because it was supposed to be a little secretive, but they got questions, and I put a bunch of them from you for you here. I went to YouTube, and then I made my way to Facebook. So I got a couple
YouTube's.
slides. I don't expect you to go too in depth on these, but if you can give us as much right action or at least what we should do next, it'd be helpful. So if you go to the next slide, should be the Q&A, and then I got a
Yeah.
couple direct questions from our audience ready to tee up for you.
This is what I got. Maybe I got to refresh.
Well,
Should I refresh?
yeah,
Let's refresh.
please. Yep, yep.
All right. Nice. No. All right.
There's about like 10
We're
questions.
just, we're just gonna do this. Here we go. How did you test your AI prompt effectively? You're not gonna like this answer, but it needs raw data. It needs real world experience. There's a reason that if you're into boating at all, that we do these things called sea trials. It's not that we didn't engineer the boat to float. It's not that we didn't have the propeller engineer design the most amazing propeller for this application, but we have to be sure, right? And it's the same reason that SpaceX is launching these test flights. They're not expecting it. They don't want it to blow up, but they're not expecting it to land without blowing up, right? And they collect all this data from all the things they do. This is no different. It's a smaller scale. Maybe we're not building rocket ships or boats, but it's the same idea because it's an engineered product. So even though you have minimal things that you have to input here, the name, what you want it to do, it's the same thing you would do for a real employee. You would go and monitor them and say, hey, what are you doing today? Like, what went well for you today? What didn't go well for you today? And the cool thing is, in fact, I don't know if I've got the ability to. I'm just gonna. Haplin said I could do this. Not that I would ask for his permission anyway, but all right. So this is one of our super secret backend things, and what I'm gonna do is show you. Yeah. Okay. We didn't put this into the slide. Now, clearly, we don't use this account, but this is where you're going to start to see actionable things. Okay. So in the dashboards and logs, you can filter by date and do all these things. You can look at specific agents. So I've got my automotive car detailing agent here. So this is essentially like, give me the report card on each employee, quote unquote AI employee, and what they're doing, their average call duration, the total duration they've been on the call, the sentiment of the callers, stuff like that. That's how you start to test this, and it should become pretty obvious. But ask some questions, within the community. I think we try to be as active as possible. It's kind of hard when we have like tens of thousands of people, but do that. Jump into some town halls, get some pointers from some folks in there. But that's what I'd recommend. Okay. On to the next question. Essentially, test it in the real world and get some folks to give you some feedback. Can we import custom voices from 11 Labs? No, you cannot do that. Sorry. We just implemented, I think it was, I don't know, like 15 to 20 new voices from 11 Labs. We've also got some backend. I don't want to get into too much detail with this, but the basic idea is that we completely revamp the backend infrastructure, like the foundation of how voice AI works. And the intention is to provide a much faster experience, even though it's already fast to begin with. I mean, this team is measuring things in milliseconds, like single milliseconds. So they've implemented a lot of backend changes for that, but it also gives us the ability to dynamically switch between different voice providers. So while 11 Labs is really, really great and we love them, and I'm sure a lot of people like them, there's no guarantee they're going to be around forever. Or what if they go down? What's contingency? So we want to always be in a position where we can dynamically switch between backend providers on things, so that we have redundant systems, and that we're not reliant on just one provider and they go offline for a day. What happens to your business? I mean, I know, like, people lose thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. It's painful. So we want to avoid that. And that's the reason why we're having a controlled sort of development on this and not letting you just bring in whatever voice you want, because ultimately we can do it a lot faster than you. Or I should say the implementation of it makes for a faster experience all around. Sorry, do you recommend a different AI agent and number for each area? Yes, totally. The more specific you can get, the better. But again, just a reminder, don't go overboard on it. So start with your FAQ and see where it goes. And if it seems to be like making stuff up and like elucidating, and you get the idea like this bot needs like a degree in gel coat for nails, let's say, then that's the point where maybe you get them onto, or setting appointments. Let's say we need a setter. Train an AI agent to be a setter, and like all their knowledge base should just be like how to be the most amazing setter ever, and stay away from the FAQs. Okay, can the caller request the preferred language? It'll dynamically detect it between English and Spanish. So there's like here we go. We'll just switch on back. If we go here, plumbing hotline. All right. If you go down here, multilingual, English and Spanish, it will tell you. The bot will communicate only in the selected language and cannot switch to other languages during the conversation. Okay, so I was wrong. When it starts the conversation, it will make the decision whether or not it's in Spanish or English, and it will stay in that, but it won't switch between them dynamically during the call. More stuff is coming on that, by the way. Where ultimately we want to get to the point where it's a multilingual bot, just like it can speak English, and maybe understand different dialects of English. It will be able to understand different languages and dialects therein too. And there won't really be a setting. It'll just be like, well, whatever the customer starts talking in, we'll just speak in their language. Can the AI agent book appointments and confirm them to the caller in his or her time zone, even if it's not in the yeah, test this one out. I'm not really sure. Different time zones confuse me. I'm just going to be really honest. Scheduling has never been my strong suit. I believe this is solved for, but you might want to test it out or get on with the success team, and they may have a better idea there. But yeah, I'll admit that's not my strong suit. Okay. Rather than emailing notifications post-call completion, can the transcript and recording link be added to the contact notes? I believe it is. Yeah, test it out. I'm pretty sure that there's a field. I'm not sure if it goes into notes or not, but you might even be able to do that with a workflow. Mark might know the answer. Chime in, Mark. Okay. Can AI voice be implemented for WhatsApp calls? No, not yet. As far as I know. Let me just double check on that. Yeah. So this is only going to be for phone numbers. The reason that I get confused sometimes is because, see these different number pools. Conversation AI can. So this is a different topic, but just so you know, if you're looking to interact with WhatsApp, that is a specific channel that, although it's not implemented on this account, it is an option for conversation AI, which would be a text-based AI. So hopefully I didn't confuse too many people. totally different thing. We're not going down that road. But if in this question you're really interested about WhatsApp, the calls don't work yet, but the text does, or the text-based messaging. How do I make sure I get all the latest updates that come to Voice AI? Is it automatic? Yes, it is automatic. There are a couple of things that require manual action. And the reason that they require manual action is for a very specific reason, in that we don't want it to go out to everybody all at once. There are certain folks that they're willing to test some stuff out. They want to have the latest and greatest. We call them early adopters, right? Like the early adopters that bought, the first electric cars, let's say, they were okay with the fact that the Bluetooth never worked because they're like, whatever, I just want the newest stuff. Most people are not like that. They want things to work totally all the time. So for most of the updates, they happen automatically. If you want some of the more advanced stuff, there are some manual actions you have to take, but it's kind of like, there's a reason for it. So if you're not super into it, don't worry about it. I'd say 90% of the updates come to you automatically just by logging in or refreshing your screen. You'll have the latest and greatest. And in fact, a lot of those updates just happen anyway. Like you don't even have to refresh the screen. How well does the Voice AI work with the calendar booking system? It works pretty well. I've seen it work. I've seen some really great success stories there. It really depends on how you have your calendar set up. So this gets back to the idea that we have this concept, right? Garbage in, garbage out. You can't have your calendar system set up in such a way that's super confusing that even you have a hard time using it, and then expect Voice AI to come in and figure it out. So as long as it's set up in a reasonable way, it's not too confusing, and things are operating as they should within the calendar section itself, Voice AI should have no problems with it. And just as a shout out, Conversation AI should be able to do that too. It can do the same types of things over messaging. Book, reschedule, cancel, stuff like that. I'm on a sub account. How do I get the playbook into any of my account? You should be able to get into it through university.gohighlevel.com. So check out that link. If you have problems, get on with success. They'll help you out. But yeah, you should be able to get access to that. What API access is available for Voice AI? I don't know. Good question, but that is a good question for one of our product managers. I would say shoot me an email at ryan.howell@gohighlevel.com, and I can help put you in touch with them because it sounds like you might be a developer, in which case I think the first thing to do would be to make sure that you're on the app marketplace, and then we can kind of expand that relationship from there. All right. I don't know if this is the end or not because I don't have my presenter notes, but help.gohighlevel.com is where all of our documentation is, as well as the ability to access our support team. Andrew on our team is leading up a big expansion, by the way, of our knowledge-based team, like our high-level knowledge-based team. And so we're making lots of improvements to all the documents there. If you've been with us for a while, maybe you know that we've needed some help with documentation. So a lot of that's getting cleaned up a ton, and that team is going to continue to expand. But feel free to leave your feedback there. And I think we may be at the end here. So what else do we got?
I was
You're
thinking we could
muted.
do an extended.
Oh, there you go. No, I got you now.
I was thinking we could maybe do an extended town hall right after this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Only been on the phone for
No,
4
man.
hours. No.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you just hanging out with us. And usually, right, the Q&A is a little shorter, and you went super in depth. And for those of you that are just tuning in, make sure you make your way back to the replay for day 1 and day 2. How did you guys like it? Let us know in the comments. Did you find this helpful? Did you find that the depth of content and Q&A was helpful to you? Please let us know. We want to get an idea of how we should make some of the changes to best suit what you need, so that way you can build your business on high level. Ryan, for those that don't know where to go from here, what would you give the best recommendation, and close us out?
Yeah. Um, just focus on implementing as fast as possible, right? So we have a thing at high level, which is that we say all the time. We have a bias toward action. So I think the hardest thing for a lot of people is getting it just right. And I get that, being a recovering perfectionist myself. But I can tell you that you're going to get closer to your goal, whether you like it or not. You're going to get closer to your goal if you have a bias toward action. So that means different things to different people, and I think that's why it's a good sort of mantra to have in your life, is to wake up and say, today I have a bias toward action. But get to the point where you've got this out in the wild, because much like a lot of things, like, oh man, I wish I would have invested in Microsoft in 1987. I wish I would have invested in Apple right before Jobs came back, and eventually ended up hiring Tim Cook and taking to a $3 trillion company. Like, don't live in the past, live in today. That moment could be right now, and I'm telling you, AI is everything that it's promising and more, probably in some really, really great ways, and maybe in some not so great ways. But the more you get a handle on this and get it out into the market, the better off the people you work with are gonna be, whether it's your customers, whether it's businesses that are your customers, and then they have downstream customers. But everybody benefits if we get more of this stuff out in the wild, because ultimately what it does is it relieves us from doing this mundane work. Like, who is born and goes to school and has friends and aspires to be the person that transfers calls to the parts department? Nobody's built for that. We need to do more. So if we can get this stuff out of the way, all this mundane stuff, train all the bots to do put them to work, then we can do more inspiring things with our lives. And that's my challenge to you, is to have the bias toward action so that you can do more challenging and inspiring things with your life that do not include transferring calls. And with that, I will say goodbye.
Thank you, Ryan. Help me give it up for Ryan Howell, part of our product marketing team, for his presentation, his detail. Let him know in the comments how much you appreciated it. Throw some emojis, throw some one-liners. Look, y'all, we appreciate you hanging out with us. If you haven't caught Ryan and Chase on their release radar, it's this Friday, every Friday. Make sure you tune in on all the latest releases. And thank you all for your feedback, your questions, and hanging out with us for lunch, breakfast, or dinner, depending on where you're at in the world. Ryan, you good if we head out of here, man? I know we got
Let's
a
do
lot of
it.
work to do.
We do
All right,
have some
man.
work
I'll
to
see
do.
y'all guys